So when Daniel went out to his balcony and opened the windows and prayed, this gave the servants a wicked idea to get rid of Daniel once and for all. Making King Darius signed the decree, but anyone who decided to not worship him for 30 days will be thrown into the lion's den. It sounded like a splendid idea to Darius, but Daniel didn't care about the consequences. He loved his God, and so he continued to open the windows and still prayed to God. The servants were happy, and they decided to go and tell the king at once that Daniel was still worshiping and praying to his God instead of him. Darius got depressed, and he wanted to take back everything they agreed to. But once the king has signed the agreement to there is no turning back. Darius realized this, and now he was really sad and couldn't even sleep. Darius even made sure to tell Daniel to ask his God to protect him in there. And guess what? Daniel was thrown in the den with several hungry lions. And God sent an angel to shut the lion's mouths for that entire night. Daniel was safe because God protected him from standing for him no matter what would happen to him. Let's be real here. A lot of people in this world, even you, find it really hard to stand up for Jesus. Maybe at school, businesses, football practice, anywhere, even your own neighborhood. We all need to change that. If you're in a group at school and you see your friends stealing, tell them to stop or report them. If that's the case, even if it means you lose them or even get hurt, but in the end, you stood up for Jesus. You see, standing up for what is right for God can be lonely and even painful. But in the wilderness, we can do it because He has empowered us to do so. 1 Corinthians 10, verse 13 says, "No temptation has overtaken you, except that it is common to mankind. God is faithful, and He will not let you be tempted beyond your ability. But with the temptation, He will also provide a way of escape, that you may be able to endure it. You are never alone when you stand up for God, because He is there, and He will provide the right people to be there for you." Well, to be honest, even I don't stand up for Jesus when needed to. When I was in grade 6 going to first form, I had to go to summer school. Going by myself instead of my paid driver to take me, I used taxis that day. I could tell that my mother was worried, and at that time she had all reason to, because I decided to go with my friend to a game shop to play games. And instead of telling him that this thing was wrong and to waste money on games, instead I decided to join him. I didn't stand up for God and got myself in this problem as well. If only I stood up for God, I would have saved my friend and I from wasting our parents' good hard-working money on playing video games. I know that my parents were disappointed when they found out months after, but the biggest problem was disappointing God, which was the biggest guilt I had at the time. There were times when I stood up for Jesus. For example, when at school, there was money on the ground, which was about $1,000. When I told my friends about what to do at the time, they told me I should keep it and keep talking about finders keepers. I really wanted to do what my friends were saying, because who wouldn't want $1,000? But the teachings of my parents and even a little voice in my head told me to give it to the vice principal. And when I did, I was spanked by him, and even at devotion, they congratulated me on being an honest person. And in the end, I stood up for Jesus, even with temptation from my friends. Here are some ways you and I can benefit from standing up for God publicly. Standing for God builds your faith and character. Faith and character are like muscles. The more you put them under stress, the stronger they become. You grow your muscles by exercise, not sitting around. You put pressure in them with weights or hard work, and you become stronger. That's how you become stronger too. Every time you stand up for God at school or anywhere else, it builds your character. You become more Christ-like. Standing for God is a victory over fear. Standing up for God takes guts. Every time you stand up for God in public, you are experiencing victory over fear. Standing for God gives God an opportunity to do a miracle. Truth is, most people have never seen a real miracle because they have never put themselves out on the limb. Listen, the fruit is out on the limb. You will never receive a miracle until you step out of the boat onto the water. When you stand for God at work, at school, with a friend who is skeptic, every time you do that, you give God an opportunity to do a miracle. If you don't, you won't see miracles. You will know that God can solve your problems if you never have any problems, if you say you don't have any problems. You will never know that God can do a miracle in your life if you never risk anything, if you never say, okay, God, I am willing to do whatever because I know what you said to do. Daniel saw a miracle because he gave God the opportunity to do the miracle. He went home and did what he always had done. Opened the windows and knelt and prayed. They caught Daniel and threw him into the lion's den. He came out without a scratch. Has God ever rescued you from a pit? First, you have to be willing to be put into the pit. Maybe you are in the pit of your own making, but you praise God in that pit. Daniel asked God to come to his rescue, and he did. Standing for God is victory over fear. It builds your character and gives God opportunity to do a miracle. Standing for God encourages other believers to stand up. When you stand up for God at work, at a game, at school, anywhere else, it gives other believers encouragement. They see your courage, and courage is very contagious. When you have a cowardly leader, everyone else is cowardly. When you step out for the Lord, other people will start coming out of the shadows. Philippians 1 verse 14 says, and because of my imprisonment, most of the believers here have gained confidence and boldly speak God's message without fear. Finally, we will be rewarded in eternity. Jesus promised it. He said he will be rewarded and the rewards will last forever. Your fears will last about 10 seconds or a few minutes, but the rewards will last forever. Matthew 5 verse 11 to 12 says, God blesses you when people mock you and persecute you and lie about you and say all sorts of evil things against you because you are my followers. Be happy about it. Be very glad, for a great reward awaits you in heaven. In closing, I would like to say, keep standing up for Jesus. No matter what the cause might be, even if it's death, getting beaten up or faint in the end, it will all be worth it to see God in heaven. It will also show to other people that you're a child of God and that you are not some pushover and that you can stand for who or what you believe. Please today, church, my friends, no matter what you do, stand up for Jesus. He is watching you, and in the end, the gift of everlasting life will be waiting for you when you have done this. Keep loving the Lord, and please remember to stand. Thank you.